Here it is, guys. The video I've been promising you all for months. My favorite horror movie from every single year I was alive. Here we go. Alright, so if you're not new to the channel, you know that I am a massive horror fan. I love October because I could just binge horror movies. This video was supposed to come out in October, but then October ended. We entered November, then November ended, we entered December, and now I'm finally here giving you guys this video. So, before we get started, please make sure to subscribe, like button, hit the bell, and comment below what is your favorite movie or favorite horror movie from every year you were alive. And if you're not a horror fan, what's your favorite movie from every year you are alive? And with that said, we got a long one here today, folks, so let's go ahead and kick this one off. I was born in 2005. That is right, my birthday is December 4th, 2005. I am 19 years old. 2005 favorite horror movie, The Skeleton Key. Now, this was a movie that, it's more of a thriller than a horror movie. It's not scary. But it's a movie that my mom walked up to the family and was like, hey, so tonight we're going to watch Skeleton Key. And when my mom wants to watch a movie, I don't like it. There's a few certain movies that she wants to, but every night I almost have plans, like, what movie to watch or what show to watch for my channel. And sometimes she'll just spring it on me. Hey, we're going to watch a movie as a family. A lot of times the movie sucks. A lot of times it's one of the Christian movies, which some of them are good. Some of them are good. There's one about child trafficking last year, which I thought was good. And then Jesus Revolution, which I thought was great. And so some of them are good. But a lot of the time it's just like oh, we're Christians. We're going to fight with other people. But in the end, God's going to prevail. Nothing against Christianity. I am a Christian. I just think Christian movies are just way too predictable and, quite frankly, boring. Sorry, but that's how it is. She sat us down to watch this one. A lot of the times it's also a cheesy movie. She made me watch Killer Clowns from Outer Space when I was sick as a dog on Mother's Day. Sorry, Mom, but I did not feel in the mood to get out of bed, crawl up to the living room, and watch the dumbest movie in the entire world. And I went down that rabbit hole just to say, was not looking forward to watching this movie. A lot of the movies she thinks are good are not very good. This one was great. I mean, it's an intriguing thriller from beginning to end. And then we get the twist, which I could talk about the twist here. It was released in 2005, but I'm not going to. Just go watch The Skeleton Key just for the twist. Flips the whole movie on its head. It's awesome. And for once, this was a movie that my mom chose to watch, and the whole family really enjoyed, and me, as a fan of this, really loved this movie. It's my favorite of 2005. Now we're going to combine 2006, 2007, because it's Saw 3 and Saw 4. For this list, a lot of years I haven't seen a lot of horror movies. Wait till we get to 2014. My favorite horror movie from that year is a movie I don't think is very good. So, 2006, 2007, the only horror movies I saw were Saw 3, Saw 4. And I really like the Saw franchise. I saw it all last year in preparation for Saw X for the very first time, and I really enjoyed it. Thing was, each of these movies, very hard to pinpoint what they're about. I watched 2 or 3 of them each day leading up to Saw X for a week, and they bleed together. Like, they're basically the same thing. Jigsaw puts them in a trap. People, they're bad people, and he kills them in gruesome, nasty ways. I enjoy that. Call me sick all you want. But it's kind of a movie I enjoy, but the movies themselves aren't that memorable. Like, I can barely remember the stories of Saw 3 or Saw 4. I think one of them is about the cop and what he does, and then I just don't remember the other one. I remember the traps. If you show me a trap, I'll be like, yeah, that one's cool. But the Saw movies are very hard to pinpoint which one, because they're all basically the same movie. Same movie that I really enjoy. I really enjoy this franchise. The movies themselves, not that memorable. They're just fun. In 2008, we got one of my favorite movies of all time, Cloverfield. Now, I think like right as I was beginning my channel, I had a friend. He was basically forcing me to watch this movie. He said, you need to watch this movie. You need to watch this movie. You need to watch this movie. And I finally watched this movie, and I fell in love with it. I was really worried I wouldn't like it because of the cam footage stuff. I'm not the biggest fan of that type of footage, but it really works for this movie. We get attached to these characters. It's personal. It's not like a big monster movie about people trying to stop the monsters. It's just about them trying to help someone out and get out of there. and it's very intense. The Cloverfield monster looks great. I really like this cast, and by the time in the end, when they all eventually die, I think it's great. It's by far one of my favorite horror movies of all time. By far my favorite creature feature of all time. I think this one is a great movie. In 2009, we got Zombieland. Now, this is more of a comedy than a horror, but I guess it fits inside the horror comedy category, so whatever. Saw this as the first movie I saw in 2024. If you don't know, I've been keeping a list on Letterboxd, keeping track of my every movie I watched in 2024. There will be a yeah, there's my username right there. This movie I thought was good. I didn't think it was great, but it was just a movie where we're just hanging out with these characters, having fun, killing zombies. There's not like a big story here. It's just following the characters, killing zombies, and then the romance between Jesse Eisenberg and Emma Stone, I think really, really works. I really enjoyed this romance that they both had on screen. I thought their chemistry was outmatched. I think the whole cast is great. Woody Harrelson is another fantastic one. The Bill Murray sequence is a classic sequence already, and it's only been 15 years since this movie released. So this was a movie I really did enjoy. I really did like this movie, but I don't think it's great. I don't think it's like a masterpiece or anything. It's just a movie I really enjoyed. 2010, Insidious. This is one of the greatest horror movies of all time. Yeah, see, we jumped from Zombieland to Insidious. Whoa. Insidious was a movie that I knew it was one of the greatest horror movies of all time once that one jump scare hit. So, my parents don't like horror movies. I'm the only one that really likes horror movies. My mom likes goofy horror movies like the original Evil Dead or the Skeleton Key. Not really a goofy movie, but it's more of a thriller than a horror. Anywho, for me, I like watching horror movies late at night. And so, we used to have this agreement. We don't really do that anymore, but because I don't have a TV in my room, or I didn't have a TV in my room at the time, I used earbuds. I put earbuds in so I could hear the movie perfectly without waking my parents up, because it's like midnight at this point, because I stay up really late. Anywho, imagine this. Watching a horror movie, really invested in the story, and then all of a sudden, boom, red man behind you. Boom, loud noise. I screamed. I went, wow! In the middle of the night, and it woke my parents up. They were pretty mad at me. Gotta finish the rest of the movie though. Whoa, this is a great movie. It's got an intriguing concept. The family is a bunch of characters that you can care about. The story is something that is very interesting. You haven't really seen something like this before, something of this concept. James Wan, this isn't his only movie on this list. We got, I think, one or two more on this list that is directed by James Wan. So he is a great director. He had a very intriguing concept here with probably the greatest jump scare of all time. Insidious 2 is pretty good too, but Insidious the Red Key, it's garbage. I think it was my least favorite movie of if not my least favorite, it was one of my least favorites of last year. Did not like Insidious the Red Door, but the original Insidious is one of the greatest horror movies of all time. 2011, Scream 4. If you don't know, I'm a huge fan of the Scream franchise, and this one is no different. I really did enjoy this one. It's more unique than the other ones, where it feels more violent, more down to earth. It's still got the comedy stuff of it, but it has a more grisly tone, where Scream 1's more of a fun movie. Scream 2's got the same thing. Scream 3 goes to the point to where it's so freaking ridiculously outlandish. Scream 5 has a fun tone. This one feels more down to earth. The kills are more brutal. The reveal of Jill being the killer I thought was masterful. I thought it was one of the best reveals of the franchise and one of the best killers in this franchise. And even like it's kind of doing the meta thing before Scream 5 of the reboot. But Scream 5 I do think did that aspect a little bit better. I still really enjoyed Scream 4, and it's a personal favorite of mine in this franchise. 2012, and the reason why it took me so long to get this video out, Sinister. I was planning on watching this in October, didn't, and then I got behind in November and finally found time to watch it. And I'm glad I did. This is one of the freakiest movies of all time. Same thing with Insidious. Imagine watching this movie at 1 or 2 in the morning. You can't get any sleep. You can't get any sleep after watching a movie like this. I didn't get any sleep after a movie like this. So, Sinister, it was a crazy movie. It's very intense because the main premise of it is Ethan Hawke watching a bunch of tapes of families getting murdered. It's very creepy. It's very unnerving. The tone really, really works. And then as the movie goes along, it gets even more unnerving and even more creepy. And it just has this vibe. Scott Derrickson directs it masterfully to harness the creepy vibe and the creepy aspect that this movie needs. And then we get to the final 15 minutes and you finally get the twist. Like, oh, snap. They're going to die. And then you see what happens in the final 10 minutes. It's very intense, very creepy. The atmosphere really works because one thing you don't do in a movie is watch children die. And in this movie, you see numerous children get murdered. You see person holding the tapes as we're watching these families get brutally murdered. It's creepy. It is very creepy. One of the scariest horror movies of all time, I think. I genuinely couldn't sleep after that. I was laying in my bed like this, watching Instagram rolls, trying to get it out of my head. Very creepy movie. Very effective, though. Really like this one. 2013, World War Z. This is a personal favorite of mine. Huge fan of zombie flicks. That's why I can't wait for 28 years later next year. But this was a movie that's very close and personal to me because I used to go over to my grandpa's house and we always would watch movies my mother would not allow me to watch when I was 12, 13 years old. One of those being Suicide Squad 2016, which is why I hold fond memories of that movie. Even though rewatching it last year made me realize the movie is completely garbage. Anyways, this is one of them too. My mom came to pick us up in the middle of the movie. She was mad. Great memories because the next time I came over, then we finished the movie. World War Z is great. It's not a perfect zombie movie. It's got its flaws for sure. But for me, personally, I really enjoyed it. It's a movie I watch every year. I love the zombie action here. I love the cast. There's some very creepy scenes. It's an effective zombie movie. And yeah, it's got problems. But I just ignore those problems because I really, really, really enjoy World War Z. And I watch it every year. 2014, and as I mentioned, this is a movie that I don't really like. I don't think it's great. It's my least favorite movie in the Conjuring franchise so far. I've only seen half of the movies, but so far it's my least favorite one. It's the only horror movie in 2014 I've seen. It's Annabelle. Not a fan. Not a big fan. It's just a predictable horror movie. You got the characters, and then they're walking through the building, and oh, what's that noise? Oh, there's something right there. Oh, there's noise somewhere. Let me just be a stupid horror character. Click the flashlight on. What's going on? Oh, there's something right there. Oh, bird flying to the window. Jump scare. Yeah, it's that type of movie. And then the interesting part about this movie is the ending of it. And I genuinely can't remember how I felt about it after first watching it. I remember what it was, but like, it kind of is positive because it's something different. It's kind of negative because it's stupid. So, I'm not the biggest fan of this movie. It's the only movie I saw in 2014. It's very much an oddball in this list. It's by far the least favorite in this entire list. It's got to be on here, though, because it's the only one I've seen in 2014. 2015, The Visit. This was, when I first watched it, the scariest horror movie I've ever seen. The twist, masterful. M. Night Shyamalan, masterful. He is a great director. Someone that I say is one of my least favorites of all time, but I personally do think he makes some great movies and suck. But when he makes a good movie, it's pretty good. I mean, Knock at the Cabin, The Sixth Sense, Signs. All these are classic movies, even though quite a few of his movies are also pretty garbage. Trap, one of my favorite movies of this year. Visit. Really enjoy this movie because, like I mentioned, the twist here, one of the scariest twists of all time. There's a jump scare here that really works when they're setting up the camera and all of a sudden the camera goes, rah! And then, whoa, that is genuinely scary. So this was just a movie. Yeah, when I rewatch it, the characters, the kid characters are very cringe. There's the kid that's always doing like the beatboxing, freestyling stuff. Very, very cringe stuff there. But when it's about the horror elements, it's very creepy. Like, who thinks of this? M. Night. Who thinks of this? It's very cool. Very creepy. And the twist is masterful. And so this is one that when I first watched it, regarded as the scariest movie of all time. It's PG-13. Not as scary as it used to be to me. But the twist, still very disturbing stuff there. 2016, 10 Cloverfield Lane. Now, I always have a hard time deciding which one I like better, Cloverfield or 10 Cloverfield Lane. I'm going to say Cloverfield because I'm in the mood to rewatch a big monster movie more often than I'm in the mood to watch 10 Cloverfield Lane. I'm still in the mood to watch these quite often. Love both of these movies. When I saw 10 Cloverfield Lane, I was obsessed with this movie, so much that I made my username on Roblox, on the account I still have, John Goodman the Killer. Because it's a very intense thriller. It really is. You get the characters that you really like. A chilling performance by John Goodman. One of the best villain performances of all time, I think. And then when stuff goes down, once he kills Emmett, whoa, it goes down. And it's very good. I always enjoy 10 Cloverfield Lane. It really sparked my love for horror thriller movies. And it's my favorite horror thriller movie of all time. And I could constantly switch. Is it Cloverfield that I like better, or is it 10 Cloverfield Lane that I like better? Very hard to decide on both of those. 2017, we got a double feature. A couple of these I really couldn't choose which one I like better. So on 3 years, I said 2 horror movies on the list. 2017, It and Get Out. Let's start talking about It first. The It franchise is a very emotional franchise. It has characters that we really care about, especially in this one when they're kids. I thought the scares were more effective instead of when they're adults fighting a clown. When they're kids fighting a clown, it really works. First time I tried to watch this one, I couldn't even get through that opening sequence because it's so freaky, it's so scary, and with a great performance by Skarsgård as Pennywise the Clown. Again, characters that you really care about, and by the time you get to It Chapter 2, very emotional what happens to them, or not them, but a few certain characters along the way. So, and it's also just one that's really entertaining. I mean, this is one of the most entertaining horror movies of all time that I can watch all the time because you like the characters, you enjoy hanging out with them when it's not about the It stuff. And when it is It stuff, the scares are pretty effective. With Get Out, it's Jordan Peele's first directorial debut. I am a big Jordan Peele fan. Absolutely love Jordan Peele. Get Out was great. I mean, again, who thinks of this stuff? The twist was masterful, something like I've never seen before. The meta stuff, the themes that it represents is great. I love Jordan Peele. I will always say that Jordan Peele is one of my favorite directors. Loved him in the Key and Peele show, and I love him as a director. He's great. This movie was great, and that's why I could not choose one for 2017. 2018, a movie I saw for the first time this year in preparation for an Alex Garland ranking, Annihilation. This is probably, I'd say, the scariest movie I've ever seen, or the scaredest I've been ever watching a movie, because what I think works so effectively about scary movies is the fact that you don't know the unknown, and soulless eyes. I hate soulless eyes. Soulless eyes freak me out, man. This one really worked because as you go on, yeah, it's got the stuff with the animals and you're killing the animals, and by the time you get to the end of the movie where you're just with Natalie Portman and you see the Thing mocking her, oh, I got so scared watching that. Like, could not look away, but I was so scared because it proves that Alex Garland leaned into what scares people the most, and what scares people the most is the fact of the unknown. You don't know what this thing is. You really don't. And when this thing is on screen and you see what this thing is doing and you're just watching it, creeps you the frick out. And it really, really worked for me. And probably the scariest sequence I've ever been. Like I said, the scaredest I've been during a horror movie. Really works for me. Really, really dig this movie. 2019, the second part to It Chapter 2. Really do like this one. I don't like this one as much as the original. It's longer. The story doesn't work as much of it, but it's still very entertaining. And the thing that works about this one, again, is that you care about these characters. And so like I mentioned, when a character dies and you're just seeing the emotions crash in, you can't help but feel sad. And it really works. Really leans into the emotions there. The horror stuff still works. Not as effective because it's not him eating kids. It is him eating kids, but it's not, the losers aren't kids. So not as effective there. But both of these movies as a whole really work as a 2-part movie series because I really, really like these characters. I really, really like hanging out with them. And I'll watch these movies every year. It's the best horror movie of 2019. Get my pun? I said it's the best horror movie of 2019. 2020, A Quiet Place Part 2. Now, 2018, I really wanted to put A Quiet Place because I rewatched that and I liked it a lot more than I have seen. Had to put Annihilation because scaredest I've ever been watching a movie. Quiet Place Part 2 released in 2020, which was the COVID year. Not a lot of things came out. But I remember this is the movie that really got me into horror movies. Like, I saw the trailer and I was obsessed with the trailer. Saw the first movie. Thought it was good. Didn't think it was great. Always thought the movie was good until this rewatch where I decided it was great. But I went to see this one at a drive-in with my grandma and my mother, and I thought it was good. And then rewatching it, I thought it was really good. Don't think it's as good as the first one, especially after this last rewatch, but I do still think it's a good movie. Again, every sequence with the creatures are great. The creature designs, fantastic. Sequence on the island is the best sequence that any Quiet Place movie has. That island sequence is really great. I really do like that island sequence. A lot of the issues with this movie I have are that there is way too many sequences of just watching people walk because you don't have dialogue or anything. So there is that sequence there. But every sequence there's a creature on screen. The movie works. And I think the creature stuff in here is much better than the first one and much better than Quiet Place Day 1. This movie has the best creature stuff in this franchise. 2021 Malignant. I saw this movie as the first horror movie I saw in October. And I thought it was weird. The first half of the movie, I was like, what is going on? I don't understand anything that's going on in this movie. And then, completely switched up on me. It turned into a completely different movie. And just kind of flips it all on its head. And that's really cool, where the moment that you get that, you're like, oh, this makes sense. Everything that I didn't understand what in the world was going on really makes sense now, and it's just really great. I told you James Wan was going to show up again on this list, and he's here again. James Wan directs this movie perfectly. I meant to actually add on the list the 2 Conjuring movies. I guess I forgot to add those on the notes. First 2 Conjuring movies are great. They're also a part of this list. Whatever, we're way past that anyways, but the first 2 Conjuring movies, I think 2013 and 2016, so do like a slash, add those on there as well. James Wan's a great director, and again, this is a movie that completely flips the whole idea upside down on its head, and then gets a very crazy ending. This isn't a horror movie that's scary, it's a horror movie that's awesome. I mean, when you get the face on, and then he just starts brutally murdering people in the third act, it's great, it's awesome, and that's why I really loved Malignant watching it the first time. 2022, another double feature, Nope and Barbarian. Again, like I mentioned with Jordan Peele, love his directing style. He is fantastic in this movie. He directs it fantastically. The moment I watched this movie in the theater, I was looking up at the sky like, okay. And every time I rewatch it, like, okay. It's very neat. And the alien that he crafts here is very disturbing, yet very cool. And I thought that was really cool. The characters really work. Keke Palmer, Daniel Kaluuya, that were both great in here, had great chemistry, and then it's just a movie very interesting. And then the stuff with the monkey doesn't really add to the story, but it's also awesome stuff that I think really works here. Barbarian was a crazy movie, to say the least. Barbarian is really, really crazy. And it really works for me. I mean, I didn't know what to expect when they went down in that basement. And all of a sudden you see Skarsgård like, help, help. And then boom, the monster's there. Cranks from 5 to 7 to 25. just like that. And it just turns really intense. And then the whole third act is just like, what in the world is going on? It is so cool, so freaky, so scary. The creature thing here, very great design. I thought that really worked in there. And so this is a movie that just is one of the wildest horror movies I've ever seen. There's a movie coming out that I can't remember what it's called, but every time I go to the movies, I see the trailer. It has Jack Quaid in it. It looks really good, and it's from the Messed Up Minds of Barbarian. Cannot wait for that movie. I just cannot ever remember what it's called. It's some weird name. Cannot wait for that movie, to say the least. Love Barbarian. Love Nope as well. 2023, Talk to Me. Now, I've said this numerous times. It's my favorite movie of the decade. I love this movie. I mean, it is a disturbing horror movie. It is a depressing horror movie. It's just about a bunch of teenagers screwing around to find out. There are kids like this in real life that are playing with Ouija boards, playing with demonic items, thinking it's fun. And you see what happens as soon as something happens to the little boy. And then all of a sudden, it cranks from 7 to 25 real quick. You see the downward spiral. It's depressing. It is genuinely creepy. I was genuinely creeped out numerous times watching this movie. There are some thrilling sequences that I think really work. And then by the time you get to the ending of the movie and that final scene, we're like, oh, that's what we're doing now. This movie is directed by 2 YouTubers. 2 YouTubers directed this movie. I'm a YouTuber. Not as big as they were, but I'm a YouTuber. Very cool to see 2 YouTubers direct the best movie of the decade so far, in my opinion. And that finally brings us to 2024. This long video brought us to 2024, where, guess what? We have a double feature in Terrifier 3 and Smile 2. Terrifier 3, something like I've never seen before. This is the first movie in the Terrifier franchise I saw. It was my introduction to the Terrifier franchise. I thought it really worked. It's more unique. It carries like a classic Christmas vibe. Even like the way it's shot looks like a classic Christmas movie. But it's just with Art the Clown brutally murdering people. That opening sequence is very intense. I was very scared while watching it. And then it's just a very fun slasher from then on out, where you're following Art the Clown, played expertly by David Howard Thornton, who I think is great in this role, as he's just brutally murdering people in fun ways. The story here I thought was pretty unique, and it added something to Terrifier 2, and all the things that didn't work about Terrifier 2 for me, it added to that and really fixed it. So this was a horror movie that I really did enjoy, and it's more unique than the rest of them as well. Like, it's shot differently. It has a completely different vibe to it, and I really did like it. Terrifier 3 was great. But my favorite horror movie, like just up by a couple spots on Terrifier 3, Smile 2. I didn't know what to expect going into this one. Both me and my brother thought this was going to be like a PG-13 horror movie. I still haven't seen Smile 1, and I didn't know it was rated R. So as soon as stuff started to go down, it went down. Sky Riley, very compelling character, and Naomi Scott's performance was great. I love movies where completely adverts your expectations, where you're following something happening throughout the entire movie and then it completely flips it on its head. I know a lot of people can feel cheated from that. Not me. I feel like that really works for a movie, and it really worked in this movie. It added to this movie with a great performance. And then by the time you get to that third act, like, holy crap, stuff's going down. It's genuinely scary. that final sequence when she's fighting herself, that face, like I said, when you don't know what it is, and it's soulless eyes, when I was talking about Annihilation, freaky as heck. Freaky as heck. And it's very scary. And then you got the creature and what happens, and the cliffhanger for Smile 3, Smile 3, hopefully gonna come out real soon. Love this movie, really worked for me, and that is my favorite horror movie of 2024. There we go. Quite a bit horror movies. I did forget to add to my list both of the Conjuring movies, which I do apologize, but it doesn't matter because very soon I am going to have a Conjuring ranking. I plan on it for January or February at the very latest. Thank you guys for clicking on this video, and stay tuned for several more videos. I'm going to do a double feature tomorrow of Y2K and Werewolves, and then later this weekend, I'm going to go see, Kraven the Hunter, the release this week. Yippee, so excited for that. Thank you guys for clicking on this video. Subscribe, join the Nerd Army. Peace out.